A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. This is chapter 20, generosity. The definition of generosity is the quality of being liberal in giving, open-handed. Quote, "Truly God commands justice and goodness and generosity to kinsmen and forbids lewdness, wrongdoing, and injustice." Holy Quran, chapter 16, verse 90. Quote, "Behold, you are those invited to spend in the way of God, but among you are some who are miserly. But any who are miserly are so at the expense of their own souls. And Allah is free of all wants, and it is you who are needy." Holy Quran, chapter 47, verse 38. Quote, "If you spend your wealth in the service of God, you are like a grain of corn which sprouts 7 ears, each of which bears 100 grains. God is abundantly generous to those who are generous. He knows all." Holy Quran, chapter 2, verse 261. Quote, "By no means will you attain righteousness until you give freely of that which you love, and whatever you give, of a truth, God knows it well." Holy Quran, chapter 3, verse 92. Comment: Allah will be generous to those who are generous. Generosity is a mark of righteousness. Quote, "The Prophet Muhammad said, peace be upon him, that Allah the Exalted says, 'Spend, O son of Adam, you will also be spent upon.'" That was recorded in Bukhari and Muslim. Quote, "Do not withhold your money, for if you did so, Allah would withhold his blessings from you." That was in Bukhari. Quote, "Avoid cruelty and injustice, and guard yourselves against miserliness, for this has ruined nations who lived before you." That hadith was recorded in Riyadus Salihin. Quote, "The Prophet, peace be upon him, did not refuse to give anything which he had to someone who asked for it." That is recorded in Bukhari. Quote, "A woman gave the messenger a burda, or a gown. The Prophet asked his companions, 'Do you know what a burda is?' They said, 'Yes, O Prophet of God, it is a piece of woven cloth, similar to a shawl.' The woman said, 'O Prophet of God, I have woven this shawl with my own hands for you to wear.' The messenger of God took it while he direly needed it. After a while, the messenger came out of his home wearing it, and a companion said to him, 'O Prophet of God, give me this shawl to wear.' The messenger said, 'Yes.' He folded it and gave it to the person who asked for it. The companion scolded the man, saying, 'It was not appropriate for you to ask for his shawl, especially since you know he does not turn anyone down or send them away empty-handed.' The man said, 'By God, I only asked him to give it to me because I wanted to be shrouded in this shawl when I die.'" The narrator of this hadith said that the shawl was used as a shroud for that man when he died. That was recorded in Bukhari. Quote, "When returning from the Battle of Hunain, the Prophet distributed the booty of war. He was left with nothing. The knowledge of his charity and generosity spread throughout the tribes. As the prophet continued on his way, the Bedouins heard that he was passing by and came running from their tents to ask him for gifts. The crowd grew, but the prophet had nothing left to give the Bedouins. The prophet tried to hide behind a tree to escape from them. One of the Bedouins grabbed hold of his cloak and pulled it off. The prophet did not become angry or irritated. He only asked, "Please return my cloak. I need it to cover my body. By Allah, if he had given me as many camels as there are trees in the forest, I would give them all to you. You will not find me to be a miser, liar, or a coward." Upon hearing these words, the Bedouin returned the prophet's cloak. Other members of the tribe visited the prophet, received the gift of his wisdom, rather than material possessions, and left satisfied. That is recorded in Bukhari. Quote, one Sahaba narrated, "I offered the Asr prayer with the prophet, and after finishing the prayer, he got up quickly and went to some of his wives, and then came out. He noticed signs of surprise on the people's faces caused by his speed, and then the prophet said, 'I remembered while I was sitting in my prayer that a piece of gold was lying in my house, and I disliked that it should remain with us throughout the night, so I have ordered it to be distributed.'" That is recorded in Bukhari. Quote, Ibn Abbas narrates that the Prophet was the most generous of people. He was the most generous during Ramadan, when he met the angel Gabriel. He would meet him every night in Ramadan to practice and review the Quran. The Messenger of God was so generous, he was faster than the swiftest wind in this regard. Recorded in Bukhari. The Prophet said to a companion while they were near a mountain, "I would not like to have gold equal to this mountain of Uhud, unless nothing of it, not even a single dinar of it, remains with me for more than 3 days, except something which I will keep for repaying debts. I would have spent all of it, distributed all of it among Allah's servants, like this and like this and like this." The Prophet pointed out his hand towards his right, his left, and his back, while illustrating. He proceeded with his walk and said, "The rich are in fact the poor on the day of resurrection, except those who spend their wealth like this, and like this, to their right, left, and back, but such people are few in number." That was in Bukhari. Comment. The Prophet was not attached to material objects. He was attached to Allah's pleasure. Quote, "O Adam's son, spend your wealth. It is good for you. Do not block it. That is bad for you. Spreading wealth according to need cannot be reproached. Spend first for your family and dependents. The raised hand is better than the lowered hand." Recorded in Muslim. Quote, "A giver of charity is near to Allah, near to people, near to paradise, and far from hell. And a miser is far from Allah, far from humans, far from paradise, and near to hell. An uneducated giver of charity is liked more by Allah than a miserly worshipper." That was recorded in Tirmidhi. Comment. The generous person is loved by Allah as well as people.